Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I feel a lot like deja vu. Here we are again. There was a famous American who led a particular congressional body who said, let's vote on a bill and then we'll read it later. Well, that's exactly where we are, because this 279-page amendment, even as chairman of the Gaming Oversight Committee, I have not had a chance to read the bill. But I did get to page 49, and I found a major issue in drafting. So I'm going to start with what that major issue is. Under this bill...
Sir, just suspend for a moment, please. I apologize. Members, I know the hour is late. But I'd ask everybody to please take their seats. Okay. Please take your seats. The good gentleman is entitled to be heard, and I'd ask everybody to please take their seats. Representative Petri, you may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I was saying, there's been a long debate among the committee and among our constituents about games of skill, what that is, what that isn't, should it be legal and should it not be legal. I started scanning the bill, and I found some curious definitions with regard to games of skill. And I believe that most of us believe that a game of skill is not necessarily a slot machine, and therefore is probably allowed to be in bars, restaurants, and clubs. Well, if you vote on this bill affirmatively, you will criminalize any coin-operated machine. So if you have a jukebox, you'll have committed a crime subject to loss of your license. If you have a game of skill, your only argument is going to be to point to another section that it defines a game of skill as potentially legal. But make no mistake, this bill has a provision, because of rush in drafting, that defines a game of skill as an illegal game. If the state police, after this bill is signed into law, would go out to an establishment and see such a game, that operator could lose their license and be subject to a crime under Title 18. Yeah. But that's not the only reason not to vote for this bill. I don't think there's any mistake that I have long been against video gaming terminals. Even if you are for video gaming terminals, though, the definition of truck stop is so broad that I believe what you think of as a convenience store is essentially a truck stop. And why do I say that? In my little town where my office is, a town called Richboro, there's a little Sunoco station with a convenience store. Now, it doesn't have the required 3 acres, but there's a property for sale right behind it that, if it were added to that site, would serve and meet this definition, because the definition says that you have to sell 50,000 gallons of diesel per month. Now, you would think that's a lot. So I called up the store and I said, in your service of landscapers and construction workers, how much diesel do you sell? They're already at 22,000 without one tractor trailer ever pulling in. I'm telling you that if you pass this bill, you will see an explosion of gambling in Pennsylvania. There will be mini casinos everywhere. You think you're voting for a truck stop, but look at the definition, read it. You literally could drive a truck through the definition and its ability to be misused. Here's another problem that really offends me. If you have a casino in your home county, then your county commissioners may bar VGTs from your county. So we have in Bucks County a casino. Our county commissioners would have 60 days to put up a vote, and they could decide that they would have no truck stops. But if you don't have a casino in your county, like my good friend from Chester County, you would have no ability, even though we believe in local control, to stop truck stops from coming in your community. Why should you be treated any differently? Why should my county get a preference? I believe in local control, and I believe your local elected officials should be able to say, I don't want any gambling. In this bill, while a municipality may vote not to accept the 10 satellite locations that are proposed, they must do so within 60 days of passage of the bill. How are they going to advertise, draft an ordinance and advertise it with only 60 days? Effectively, even though no township will really be able to block a satellite or an additional casino coming into their townships. Even in Illinois, where this bill, this concept originated, even in Illinois, they allowed every community the opportunity to reject expanded gambling, but we aren't. Let's talk about revenue. I haven't seen a fiscal code, but I can assure you that the revenue that will be derived from this will not come close to equaling the problems that will exist. This bill authorizes internet gaming. Internet gaming is the idea that on your laptop or on this device, I can gamble. They do it in New Jersey. I'm personally morally opposed to it. But more importantly, as an employer, we should all be opposed to it. At lunchtime, your employee goes out and they start gambling. Perhaps they have some authority or discretion over someone else's money, such as an attorney. They decide, I can cover that. I'll just borrow from that escrow fund. I'll just take some money and I'll cover my gambling loss because I just lost $3,500 and I'll replace the client's money later. In talking to the state police, the head of the state police told me, be very, very concerned about this. They said that right now, illegal games, Mr. Speaker, can I have some order?
Members, please take your seats. Members, please take your seats. Thank you. Please take your seats. And the good gentleman should proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be brief, members. The state police are warning us about illegal games. In speaking to the state police today, I've been informed that illegal games constitute, conservatively, a $30 million business. He tells me they have videotape of 12-year-olds playing games of skill and winning $600 and $700. Look, we have a major problem. We need to deal with it. I'm not against expansion of all gaming, but to do so with no time to analyze a bill, a 279-page amendment that not one senator has yet read and not one of you has read, including myself. Hey, I don't know about you, but I'm never voting on a bill like this that has so much impact to Pennsylvania without knowing exactly what it says and having it vetted. This is not simple English language to understand. It's extremely complicated, and I am telling you that if you pass this bill, you will have an explosion of gambling in Pennsylvania like you've never seen before, and it'll be at something they call truck stops, but you and I think of as convenience stores. Mr. Speaker, we ought to stop, reject this, take a pause. There is, as the previous speaker said, no rush to get this done. I'd rather do something right than do something hastily. Thank you.